Welcome in, guys. We are live on Rover Sports, and we all hope that we are saddled up and going okay. This is the maiden voyage again of a show that we are attempting to do. We are live on Skype right now. I'm going to get you guys up on my feed. I got my boy Chris the Entertainer that is up right now. You guys can give feedback all the time, and we're going to make a big effort to interact with you guys. Tomorrow night, Chris, no matter how this is going, we are attempting to do our first live stream of the game, a live Skype stream watch party on the Entertainer with an AH. An Entertainer, man, I've done enough talking. How the heck are you, man? What's up?
I'm good, man. What's pop? I'm just trying to adjust this chat for everybody because it's a little too big so everybody could see it properly.
No problem. No problem at all. It says we are live. It says we are rocking and rolling. Marcos Levy is already in the chat. Hey, listen, I got to tell them a big, Chris.
Yeah, go ahead.
I got to tell these guys a big factor of the show. I'm logging on right now to talk to you guys. If you guys happen to have a Skype account, I can add you into our call tonight. That is the kicker of our show. So
I just wanted everybody to know they're hearing us both properly. There's no echo, nothing like that. The volume's coming in good. Just type it in the chat. Make sure everything's good because we're still new at this. We're trying to get the whole live streaming thing down. So just let us know.
I got my guys Jabari in there, Marcos Levy, and once everything is all right, Chris, then we're gonna start talking all about today's action.
Yeah, I mean, we could jump into it now. I mean, nobody's really responding. I hope the volume is good. Yeah, so a lot of big games today. Where do you want to start? I figure we'll start with the AFC East, and we'll work our way down.
All right, we'll talk. Well, I want to talk about the Carolina Panthers because that was such an incredible win by Cam Newton. He was down 17 points going into the fourth. I don't know if you saw any of that.
Yeah, of course. I watched the whole game. Yeah, it was a great game. Down 17 points. They scored 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. I was happy as a Giants fan. As the Panthers came away with the victory. They give us a little bit of glimmer of hope, but then the Redskins, of course, won against the Cowboys, so we're still 2.5 games back. But let's talk about that.
I'm not even thinking about us. We could be gone from the NFL, man. I'm not thinking we're a freaking corpse, man. We are freaking, what's that word? We are ashes just floating around the NFC. We are ashes. We are floating around. I'm not thinking about that at all, man. I hate the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't like them. Marcos is a dear friend. My dad is, you could consider him a friend or even more. Everybody I know is Eagles fans. To see them choke in that way to Carolina, it warmed my heart. And did you see the end of that game, Chris?
Yeah.
I thought that was an interception. I was going crazy. I was cussing profanities because it looked like the guy had the ball on his arm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but that's the funny thing with the NFL. You never know. Yeah, half the time it's a catch, half the time it isn't. But I'm just glad Carolina came away with the victory. Carolina. That was a big win for them because they are in a very tough division, and they needed to come away with that win today. The Eagles didn't need that win, I feel, as much as Carolina did. I felt like that was a must-win for Carolina today, and they came away with the win.
Absolutely. I completely agree. Because Carolina's in a very difficult division. Somebody here is commenting on the Chicago Bears. Let's organize it by the divisions. Go ahead. Let's start with the AFC East.
All right. As we're talking about each division, I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to bring up the standings for each division. So let's start with the AFC East. I'm going to pop that in right now for everybody to see. So the AFC East, we got the Patriots at 5-2, Miami at 4-3, Jets at 3-4, and Buffalo at 2-5. A couple big games today. The Dolphins, I thought were going to come away with a victory today, and they didn't. I was surprised. They dropped to 4-3 as they were at home. They haven't lost at home all year, and they lost a close one today. The Jets, of course, got stomped by the Vikings, which I kind of expected. I'm sure you probably thought the same. And the Patriots, well, the Patriots continue to win. I think they've won now 4 in a row.
Chris, I was surprised at the Jets game. I think it was a dominant performance by Minnesota. The Jets had a lot of turnovers in the game, a lot of mistakes. Sam Darnold really didn't throw the ball well in the win today. There was also just the Vikings got a lot of short fields on some sloppy plays. The Jets were just sloppy today. I thought the Jets' effort defensively was actually pretty good. And to tell you the truth, the New York Jets, the way that they played the game, Their defense was still okay versus Kirk Cousins, but eventually they broke down. And you look at this loss, it's a demoralizing loss. The Jets go to Chicago. Chicago lost in a heartbreaking manner. So I think the Bears are going to have a good week of practice. I think the Bears now can knock the Jets out of this race. Brock Osweiler in Miami is a complete and total mess. That record means absolutely nothing. The Bills are the train wreck we all expected, Chris. And this is the Patriots division again. I mean, I know people are going to talk about that Hail Mary. Like, come on. That's not luck. If the freaking Bears would have completed the 60-yard Hail Mary, it would have been luck. Mitchell Trubisky today, 2 interceptions. The Patriots had 2 special teams touchdowns. You can't make mistakes versus Bill Belichick. Credit to the Patriots, man. I didn't expect New England to lose this division this year. How about yourself, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, everybody, it was the same thing as last year. Last year, if you remember correctly, the Patriots got off to a bad start too. I think they started 1-2, the same thing as this year. I'm pretty sure. I know they lost week 1 at home to Kansas City last year, so they got off to a sluggish start, and then things started to roll. And it's been no different this year. They started 1-2. Now they've won 4 in a row. They're starting to get things rolling. I think we all expected it. I tend to agree with you. The Jets got 2 very hard games coming up. I don't see them winning against the Bears, especially, as you said, I think the Bears have now dropped 2 in a row. I don't see them losing to the Jets next week. And Miami, I kind of agree with you, too. Miami does have a good defense, I will say that, but Osweiler's not going to get the job done. It's as simple as that. And I think the Pats, as always, are going to run away, and they're probably going to finish with a 12-4, 13-3 record. They're probably going to have a first-round bye, and they're going to be one of the contenders, as always, to go to the Super Bowl.
It's an incredible coaching job by Bill Belichick. This defense isn't that great. They could lose later in the playoffs. Now, out of the coaches in this division that get fired, I would say Todd Bowles is leading the race, because I look at Adam Gase, and with the uncertainty with Ryan Tannehill pretty much being exiled, I think that injury is kind of bullshit, to be honest with you. I really think that with Tannehill, he's going to be gone after this year, if I'd have to guess. And I think Adam Gase has a little bit of a leash left. Of course, the Bills coach, Sean McDermott, just made the playoffs. I think for Todd Bowles, he needs to win like 7 games this year. What do you think, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, do you really feel this is a 7-win team, though? I mean, and I know, Todd Bowles is kind of like Marvin Lewis. Marvin Lewis is obviously a better coach, but every year you think Bowles is going to lose his job, and he keeps coming back. But this year, if the Jets won 7 games with Darnold at quarterback, do you really think he deserves to be fired? And I know a lot of Jet fans don't like Todd Bowles. He does a lot of questionable things. People say he doesn't handle
the terrible today. The clock management.
Yeah, that's always the biggest complaint from Jet fans. He's not good with the clock management. But, I mean, the Jets have played fairly well so far this year. They've beaten some pretty good teams. They're 3-4. Everybody knew they were going to lose to Minnesota today. Minnesota's starting to get things rolling. They're one of the top 3 or 4 teams in football, in my opinion. And, they showed it today. I personally am not on the fire Todd Bowles train. Now, if the Jets finish 4-12, 5-11, 6-10, I'd probably fire Bowles. But 7-9, 8-8, I personally think he should probably keep his job, especially with a young quarterback. In my opinion, you never want to, as a young quarterback, you don't want to see them. You don't want to have them having coaching change every other year. Similar to, remember Alex Smith early in his career, he had a new coach every other year, and it stunted his growth.
No, you do make sense in that capacity. You really do, because this defense is playing really well. Like Darryl Roberts today, number 27 for the Jets.
Oh my God! I don't mean to interrupt you. I was watching the game at a bar, and every time I look up, I didn't know the guy's name. I'm not a Jet fan. I'm a Giant fan. Number 27, Roberts. Yeah. The guy was all over the field. The guy was making play after play after play. He had a fantastic game. That guy kept them in the game in the first half.
That's what I was saying. Like, I missed the play where Phelan beat his ass for the first touchdown, but he was unbelievable. I mean, he was making every single play, every shoestring tackle, every deflection. I had to look up the guy's name. No, I don't know Darryl Roberts' name off the top of my head. I wouldn't know his name if he hit me right in the face,
No, I actually watched, I think JC's actually going to be popping on here soon.
Yeah, I mean, listen, like this team, the Vikings defense, man, ferocious. Anthony Barr, their run defense, they really came to play today. And they have finally woken up, and you're seeing the cream rise to the top. And I did not expect the Jets to lose by 20 to the Vikings. The Jets were as hot as you could be, Chris. I mean, they've just beat the Colts. They ran for a zillion yards against the Broncos a couple of weeks ago, a game I won't remind you about. But yeah, Chris, I thought this would be right down to the end. The Vikings are just a tremendous team, and the Jets still need work, man. They're still sloppy. They still don't have that killer instinct. Sam Darnold wasn't effective in the wind. It was a little bit disappointing from the Jets, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, I before we keep going with this, I see a question from Rhodes Matheson. I think he's probably one of your subscribers. He's asking how we think how we think our Giants are gonna do against the Falcons tomorrow.
Let's do it.
Yeah, well, he probably didn't hear. We're actually gonna be doing a live stream on my channel tomorrow night, so please tune in for that. We're gonna be live. We're gonna do a pregame for an hour leading up to the game, and then we're gonna be doing a stream together as we watch the game together. We're both Giant fans, and let's talk about it a little bit. Let's get into it, Spencer.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Chris. I want to talk a little bit about tomorrow. Of course, I want to talk about today's storylines while we have the show. Again, pop over to Entertaina AH. Entertaina Talk.
I'll put my link in the comments after the video.
Please do it, and we're gonna be live. I think the Giants, we've had it feels like the Giants haven't played in 2 months. It's been such a layoff for our ball club. But I'm feeling decent about the game. You can only analyze it so much. Atlanta's a beatable team. Now, Atlanta is still a very talented offense. It's still a game that's scary. We don't traditionally do well playing the South teams, playing in those indoor tracks there. And listen, Matt Ryan could have some success against us. I wouldn't rule out us getting blown out. I wouldn't rule out us winning the game. I do think we're going to keep it very competitive. I think we're going to win the game and hold off Atlanta late. That's my projection. What do you see?
The key to this game for me, for the Giants, you cannot get into a shootout against this team. The Falcons averaged 36 points a game at home this year. Matt Ryan has been unbelievable. In 4 games, he's got 13 touchdowns and only 1 pick. You have to control the clock in this game. That means Saquon Barkley has to get fed early and often. Barkley needs 25 to 30 carries. I shouldn't say carries. 25 to 30 touches for the Giants to win this football game, in my opinion. The Giants have to win the time of possession, and they have to win it big. They can't win 31-29. They got to win by 8-9 minutes in this game, in my opinion, for the Giants to win this game. Because if they get into a shootout, I don't see the Giants keeping up with the Falcons in the Dome. Now, the good news is I don't see the Falcons stopping Saquon Barkley, so I think that is very possible for the Giants to control the clock in this football game. Not to mention the Falcons' run offense has been non-existent since Freeman got hurt.
Yep, it's going to be a game that we're going to have to control the clock, and really we're going to have to execute tomorrow. I'm excited about it, Chris. Let's bounce to another division, though. I want to tackle some of these.
All right, I'm gonna pull up the standings for the AFC North, and then we'll get into that a little bit.
Let's do it.
All right, so we got the North there. We got the Bengals. They're playing right now. They're 4-2 going into tonight. They're probably going to lose. I think you probably agree against the Chiefs, but we'll see.
Yep. I called them getting stomped in that game. So
the Ravens lost today against the Saints. That was a great game. 24-23. You got the Steelers at 3-2-1. They're starting to creep back into the division race. And the Browns suffered a tough loss today against the Bucks as they dropped to 2-4-1.
Weird games in the NFL, Chris, with the wind and everything today. I mean, Justin Tucker, I don't even know if you can blame it on him. I mean, how are you supposed to aim 20 yards left of your target to fade the ball into that breeze? I mean, absolutely weird, windy games today all across the Northeast.
It's funny you bring that up. The Jets game, the kicker was struggling too. The kicker for the Jets opponent today, he was struggling today mightily too on the Vikings.
Yeah, and listen, the Ravens still acquitted themselves well. They still look like the best team in that division because think about it. The Ravens beat the Steelers. The Bengals are going to get squashed. They're going to get housed tonight. That's going to be 2 straight losses for the Bengals. You have to admit the Ravens really had a good game defensively, and then it appeared late like the Saints crawled back into the game in the second half there in Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm looking at that division. I see the Bengals starting to take a little step back here. And it might be the 2 usual suspects there, Steelers, Ravens in the end.
And I like the Ravens. I think the Ravens are a potential Super Bowl team for sure with their quarterback and their defense continuing to improve this year.
Now you got to remember though, the Steelers are getting Bell back, right? He's going to be back next week.
We have no idea what that guy.
I thought they said Bell would be back their next game. I could be wrong. I thought I heard that.
You're right to collect the paycheck.
Yeah. So. It's going to be close. It's going to be interesting, that division. But I think the Bengals will start to take a step back. They've now dropped 2 in a row. They got off to that hot start. I personally see those 2 teams going at it. And the sixth spot in the AFC is going to be very interesting. The fifth seed, I think we both agree, is going to go to whoever loses the West. It'll be either the Chargers or the Chiefs.
Yeah.
But that sixth seed, there's a bunch of teams competing for that last playoff spot. You got like 6 or 7 teams that are right within a game of it.
I think it is. Let's look at in the West, you have Oakland that's out, but Denver is still kind of hanging around there. Then in the South, I break off the South. The East I break off. So you have the West and the North.
Well, the West you got the West.
What a train wreck in the AFC, Chris. But hey, we did talk about the Browns and Baker Mayfield today, man. I don't know if you were at the bar. It was so disappointing. Baker Mayfield had a brilliant second half today after scoring only 2 points in the first half. Him and Jarvis Landry connected many times. He really performed well from adversity, Chris. He bounced back today. He got the Browns back to being tied. And then in overtime, the Bucs kicker missed a game-winning 42-yard field goal at the end of regulation. Browns get an interception at midfield. They're celebrating. They're going crazy in overtime. They only need a field goal to win. And, of course, the Browns celebrate. Baker Mayfield, unfortunately for us Baker fans, he didn't get the job done in overtime. He took a brutal sack. And then
JC, we lost Spencer's video.
Okay, I'll hop off.
No, hold 1 second. Sorry, guys, I clicked the call button and it knocked Spencer off. Hold on, let me get him back.
That's central into the live show.
Let me get him back. Alright, 1 second.
That's central.
Trying to pull you back up, Spencer. You know what, Spencer? Oh, there you are. You're back.
Yeah, Chris?
Yeah, you're back.
Cool, man. Keep it rolling.
When JC calls in, do me a favor. You pick up, because when I pick up, I think it knocks him offline.
Let me search Jet Central. I'm going to invite him. See Jet Central 2020. Here he comes. Central.
Rover, what up?
Hey, man, you're live on the air. We're doing our show right now, bud.
What's going on, Spencer? What's going on, Chris? How you guys doing?
See, man, letting the hair flow. I like it, bro. How are you?
Just
doing
lost.
Pretty good, man. Doing pretty good.
I'm sorry, Spencer. We lost you again. I don't know why. Hold on. Let me.
I can see Spencer. I just can't see Chris now.
Yeah, it's not letting me show both you guys at the same time for some reason.
Do you want me to call? Hey, I'm on now.
You know what? I'm gonna try to just pull my video up on the. I'm trying to pull.
Hey, can they still hear the audio?
Yes, they could hear the audio.
So, Central, let's talk a little football today. Did you see Baker Mayfield today, Jet? JC?
Yeah, man, I saw Baker. Yeah, I saw him. Looked really good. I mean, he was completing passes. He was hanging in the pocket. Obviously, threw 2 touchdown passes as well. Had the Browns right in it to the very end. Really pumped up with Mayfield. And Browns, as crazy as this might sound, the Browns got their guy. Okay, Cleveland got their dude moving forward.
Hey, JC, how about that play where Baker Mayfield scrambled in the second half? There was a Bucs player that was kind of talking shit to him as he slid down. Baker went right up to him and started jawing back. I mean, wasn't that just so much fun to see that fire? And you probably watched the first half. Baker had nothing going for him in that game. For him to bounce back, it just was fantastic.
Yeah, it's great, and like, being a Jet fan and stuff, I've heard a bunch of times, like, the argument arises, who would you rather take, Mayfield, Darnold, Allen, Rosen? I would sit here and say pretty confidently that I think Baker Mayfield is still the #1 quarterback thus far throughout the season, or the #1 rookie quarterback so far.
So Central, man. The way they lost that game was just horrendous. I mean, you saw in overtime them celebrating that interception. Baker Mayfield gets sacked. I mean, Hugh Jackson, he's going to need to win some of these games. I mean, that Bucks game was very entertaining. Jameis Winston is a very up and down player. He played a brilliant first half, but then he was throwing all these interceptions all across the yard. And I don't know what to think of Jameis, and I don't know what to think of Hugh Jackson right now.
I think Hugh Jackson's going to be fired soon. I don't know if he makes it past the bye week, to be honest with you.
Right on, man. So you know what? We were talking a little bit about your team. Let's talk. Did you see any of the Cowboys game? Because me and Chris are going to bounce around. You saw mostly 1 o'clock hour.
Yeah, I saw the 1 o'clock hour. You know, I watched Jacksonville Texans, Jets Vikings, obviously, a little bit of Dolphins Lions, Browns Bucks, and then of course Pats Bears.
Yeah, so now we're to the breaking point with Blake Bortles, where officially the water has reached its level, and now Jacksonville is in a really tough predicament. This is probably the biggest story of the NFL. Is now if you're Jacksonville, do you roll with Cody Kessler?
I personally think Jacksonville could be in a lot of trouble here. I really do. I know they're 3-4 now, and everybody loves their defense. I don't like what I'm seeing out of Jacksonville. What is that, 2 or 3 losses in a row now? And I thought for sure they were going to win this game today. I think they could be in big trouble. And I'll tell you, a sleeper in that division, I'm not expecting them to win it now, but don't sleep on the Colts. If they could start to get things rolling a little bit, Andrew Luck has played well. They started to get the running game going today. I saw that they only had like 25 passing attempts. They finally ran the ball like 40 times today. I wouldn't be shocked if the Colts get back in that divisional race at all. And the Jaguars, I don't think, are the team that we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I mean, Jacksonville definitely is in a shaky scenario right now. If I was in charge, I would let Cody Kessler just take it over. You say you're the guy moving forward. I've seen enough of Bortles. I'm done with it. Never really been the biggest Bortles fan. I just don't like his I just don't think he's that much of a leader. I don't think he can push the ball downfield consistently. I think he's a little inaccurate. His mechanics aren't there. The one area of Bortles' game that I do like is his mobility. I think that's an underrated quality, and he does pick up first downs, like with his feet. He can't extend plays, but he's not the answer. I mean, if I'm Jacksonville, I'm looking at a guy like Drew Lock out of Missouri who's just crazy. I mean, him running the read option with Leonard Fournette is pretty exciting.
Well, JC, this is what I would tell you, is that Blake Bortles is going to be in Jacksonville for 3 more years. This is the dude who led you to the conference championship. He beat Pittsburgh on the road, and he's making this kind of money. It's not like Cody Kessler is some type of stud quarterback.
I don't mean to interject, Spencer. I disagree. If Bortles keeps playing this way, this is a team that's meant to win now. I don't see them sticking with Bortles. I could easily see them drafting a quarterback next year or trying to acquire one via trade.
I'm not arguing to stick with Bortles for the rest of the 3-year contract, especially if they don't make the playoffs. But don't put Cody Kessler in over Blake Bortles when you just paid Blake Bortles, because Cody Kessler is nothing.
So is Bortles, though.
Bortles have a couple more games. You can't just be that impulsive in Jackson.
I don't think that's being impulsive. Bortles has been horrible. Bortles, he has his moments, but for the most part, Bortles has not been a good quarterback for that football team.
Well, Bortles beat the Steelers on the road last year,
but that was last year.
Yeah, I know he hasn't been good this year, but who is out on their team? Marquise Lee and Leonard Fournette, and they have no offensive line. So, Blake, why is Cody Kessler? Why are you going to bench your dude 6 games into the season? I mean, continue to start Blake Bortles, and if Blake fails this year, then just get rid of him. Cody Kessler is nothing. He means nothing.
because the point is that it's like, the reason why they're making the change, I mean, it's not official yet.
I don't think they are going to make the change, but go ahead, sorry.
If they do, it's because, like you said, they're 6 games into the season, seven games into the season. They're 3-4 right now, coming off 3 smackdowns. I mean, they got embarrassed against Dallas. They got embarrassed this week against a divisional rival. They already lost to Tennessee, so they're 0-2 in the division. They need a change. Bortles can't get the job done. He turns the ball over. The offense is inconsistent. At least Cody Kessler. Not saying Kessler's a top 10 guy here, But what I am saying is that Kessler can at least put the ball in play. He can complete passes. He can manage the offense. And really, I think that's just what all Jacksonville pretty much needs, especially when Fournette comes back.
Well, Central, why was Blake Bortles able to do that last year to the tune of a division championship and taking the team to the footsteps of a Super Bowl?
Because they had the best defense.
I wouldn't really say that.
Go ahead,
Oh, no, it's all good. I wouldn't really say that he took them there. I would say, kind of like Tyrod Taylor, he was the quarterback of the team that went there. Almost like, you can make that, or you could ask that same question with Case Keenum. Keenum got all the way to the championship game as well, but the Vikings didn't want to pay him. Now he's with Denver, and the Broncos are 3-4 as well. So
I view it very similar to the 2000 Ravens. They had this unbelievable defense, and it was like very similar to Trent Dilfer. They had a nothing quarterback. They had a very good ground game, and it was the same exact formula. They had a great ground game with a great defense. Blake Bortles had very little to do with that. I know Bortles had played well in some of those playoff games, but Bortles is not a good football player.
Well, first, no, he's not a good quarter. Listen, I'm not going to say I am actually one of the biggest anti-Blake guys, and I said the Jags would suck because of Blake. So I'm actually right about the Jaguars. But the point is, it's not all the quarterback's fault. You don't have a quarterback in the waiting. If you put Kessler in now, that's going to burn the team to the ground, I think, because then everybody in the locker room is going to be even more divided. Today they looked for a spark. But I look at Blake Bortles. I don't think he's very good either. His release is like freaking like a giraffe trying to throw a football. It's a long loop. No one's going to say Blake Bortles is good, okay? But what I am saying to you guys is I would not bench him for this year. And also, Jacksonville's defense isn't playing very well either. It's not just all Blake Bortles' fault in Jacksonville.
I got a question for you as Giant fans. Let's just say hypothetically the Giants lose tomorrow night. They're 1-6. The season's over. Do you try to call Jacksonville and say, "Here's Eli Manning"? I'm serious. Eli Manning might help that team. Would you consider trading him to Jacksonville right now? Because if they're going to Cody Kessler, you're telling me they wouldn't consider trading for Eli Manning?
That's exactly right. Cody Kessler in this league, he just doesn't have the arm talent, man. I mean, maybe JC's a Kessler closet guy, but go ahead, JC.
No. I'm not a Kessler guy. I mean,
you can hang on that.
Say it again.
You can hang on the show then.
Well, I appreciate that, Spencer. I really do. But no, I mean, Kessler, I don't necessarily think he's an upgrade over Bortles. I'm just saying it's just a change of scenery, right? Maybe this guy will come in and provide a spark, the spark that this team needs. But it kind of, to me, an issue that kind of that pops up into my head when I look at this whole scenario, why didn't the Jaguars try to get like a Teddy Bridgewater in the offseason? Why didn't they try to make a push to get like a plan B in the offseason? Maybe a cheaper guy, Josh McCown, Tyrod Taylor. I don't know, one of these guys,
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good point, JC. And I know Blake Bortles played really well against the Jets. I know that he played awesome against the Patriots this year. Blake Bortles, they needed him to be a game manager. And in today's game, the Texans whipped the Jaguars today. Even offensively, the Texans were moving the ball. This isn't the same defense as last year. Leonard Fournette, they look at Blake to be a guy that's a complimentary guy to Fournette. And it's not like Jacksonville made an egregious mistake because they're only paying the guy $18 million, which is honestly, for not a rookie deal, it's dirt cheap for a quarterback contract. So they know Blake Bortles isn't really the guy. Now, I'd still stick with Blake for at least like 3 more games, and then if it completely blows up, then why not, get Kessler or whatever? Because Blake, I think he still has equity in the franchise. He still has started a lot of games there, and the team shouldn't quit going across the pond. I think that would just be a kind of a quick, just a very impulsive decision that I would not do right now.
Ventura Variety asked a question I think you guys maybe would want to answer. He said, why would they trade for Manning? Bortles is better than Manning. I don't necessarily agree with that. If Manning was put in that situation with that running attack and that offensive line, I personally think Eli would probably have more success there than Bortles. What do you guys think?
I would say, yeah, go ahead, Spencer.
I would say no, actually, because Fournette is not there. Blake is more mobile than Eli. I think Eli has a better arm strength right now. I think Eli is a very good leader. And I want to say something after Jet Central talks about the Jacksonville Jaguars. I want to say another point about that situation there. Go ahead, JC.
Yeah, I would actually like Eli Manning in Jacksonville. I don't think Eli Manning is that good, but I just wanted to present a question to you guys. Outside of the rookie quarterbacks, who is the worst starting quarterback in the league? So I'm not talking about, guys like AJ McCarron and Nathan Peterman, but outside of the top four rookie quarterbacks that are starting, Allen, Darnold, Mayfield, and Rosen, who's the worst quarterback? I would say it's Blake Bortles.
I think I'd agree with you. I think it's Blake Bortles also. I really believe that.
Yeah, I think it's Blake Bortles. What I'm going to say is I don't think Jalen Ramsey and just the personalities on this team help, because Jalen Ramsey has kind of always been throwing shade at Blake Bortles. And this whole thing was going to explode, guys, because what do you need to be a stable NFL franchise? You need a great quarterback and you need an elite head coach. And Doug Marrone had one special season. He was fired from Buffalo. He's an offensive line coach. He isn't that creative. And you could see this happening when you don't have a quarterback like a Brady, like a Drew Brees. This Jacksonville team had an easier schedule. They were able to run through and hit a run last year, and I just think that Jacksonville is not going to be a consistent franchise with this offensive structure, with this head coach, and these personalities like Jalen Ramsey. When things start going south, this team.
I disagree with you. If they could keep this personnel together on the defensive side of the football, I think they do have the makings to be a consistently very good team, similar to like the Ravens. I don't think Joe Flacco's this all-world quarterback, but they had that ground attack and they had the great defense. If they were able to keep this defense together, I'm not one who believes you need this all-star quarterback to be a consistent good franchise. I don't think you do. I think you need a foundation. If you have a good offensive line, you have a good ground attack, and you have a great defense, you could be a consistently competitive franchise competing for a Super Bowl every year.
Competitive, but you're not going to be making the playoffs maybe every single year, especially when you have to go against Watson and Luck. But I understand that. What do you think about that comment, JC?
I mean, I'm a big believer in team football, right? So I think if you build a good defense, if you obviously build specific parts of your team, the quarterback play doesn't need to be as good. I mean, look at Jacksonville, look at Minnesota last year. You don't need to have.
Look at the Eagles last year after Wentz got hurt.
Right, but you need you need a guy to be decent, like a middle of the road, like a Stafford level quarterback to be in it every single year with that defense.
Consistently, yeah, but it's tough. I mean, if I was the Jacksonville Jaguars right now, I think after this year, I would try to get out of this, because it was a 3-year deal with, I think, a team option after 1 year. So I would try to get out of this deal if I'm Jacksonville. I mean, you were already spending so much money to Malik Jackson, Calais Campbell. I mean, who I know they had a lot of money invested on the offensive line as well. Gibson, the safety as well. So
yeah,
I mean AJ Boye too. I mean, he's on another huge deal. So
yeah,
Jacksonville, they have so much money invested in this team. It's time. You can't wait around for Bortles to be good. I mean, he was drafted in 2014. I'm a big believer, I've said it before, I'll say it again, in letting quarterbacks grow and letting quarterbacks kind of mature over time. But I've seen enough of Blake Bortles. I don't think he's gotten pretty much any better since his junior year or his third season in the NFL. So I've just seen no progression from him, and I would move on. I would take a really hard look at Drew Lock from Missouri, because I think he kind of fits that culture.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Go ahead, Entertainer.
No, I agree with that. And, I just wanted to segue into something else, because we've been spending a lot of time talking about Blake Bortles. And I'm not, there's only so much you could talk about with Blake Bortles. But
well, I think it's interesting to see the crumbling of a franchise that people thought was on the rise, but I don't think Doug Marrone's that good of a head coach. I'm not advocating to keep Blake Bortles next year, but I'm just not in favor of benching him right now. But it's all going to sort itself out anyway. It's sad for Blake Bortles, but he kind of is who he is at this point, and he's giving the doubters a lot of fuel right now for sure. But let's go, Entertainer.
Yeah, I had a question for both you guys. I want you guys to tell me, because we're almost at the halfway point now. Well, let's start in the AFC, then we'll go to the NFC. Tell me right now your 6 playoff teams. I mean, I think there's 3 or 4 givens, and then I want you to tell me if you had to pick your last 2 right now, who would it be? Let's start in the AFC East. I mean, I think you probably both agree that the Patriots are going to win that division, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
That looks like a runaway. Then we're going to go to the South. That's not as clear cut. Who do you guys like in the South?
I like Tennessee in the South.
You like Tennessee? I think they're 3-4 right now, right?
Yes.
So right now, let me pull that up. I got the standings here.
Wow.
I think right now you got the Texans at 4-3. The Titans and Jaguars are both at 3-4, and the Colts are 2-5. So you like the Titans? What about you, Spencer?
I'll take. He likes Tennessee. I'm not going to trust Vrabel that much. I'm going to actually go with the Houston Texans in that division.
I am going to stick with Jacksonville. I think they right the ship.
Whoa!
I think they right the ship, and I think they sneak in at 9-7 or 8-8. I think they're gonna win. I think they're gonna win that division.
With what quarterback?
I don't think that with those teams. I don't believe in Houston. I think Houston is similar to the Giants, where they have a bunch of fantasy players. But as a team, I don't like Houston. They lost to the Giants, for God's sakes. I don't believe in them.
Let's do it. But only one team, no wild cards in that division.
I agree with that. Then we're gonna get to the North. You've got the Bengals at 4-2. You got the Ravens at 4-2. You got the Steelers at 3-2-1. I think the Browns are they're really not in contention. So who do you guys like in that one?
Tough call. I'm gonna go Baltimore.
I'm going to take the Ravens and give me the Steelers as the wild card selection in this division.
I am gonna agree with both of those picks. I'm just to switch it up. I'm gonna go with the Steelers. I'm gonna go the Steelers win the division, but the Ravens get the wild card.
Yep, and Marvin Lewis misses the playoffs.
And then he finally gets fired. Can we agree on that?
I don't know if it'll happen, man. He could burn down the facility.
All right, let's get to the AFC West. The Chiefs and Chargers. That's really who it's down to. Who do you guys like?
I'm going Chargers.
Chargers over Chiefs. I'm sticking with KC. Their defense firing all cylinders, but the Chargers get a wild card berth. Will be favored in the game versus the AFC South in the playoffs.
So we've got the 4 division winners, and then we got the wild cards as the loser of the AFC West and the loser of the AFC North. That's agreed right now?
Yes.
All right, let's jump over to the NFC. NFC East right now. The Redskins have a They have a good lead right now. They got a 1.5 lead over the Eagles and Cowboys, and the Giants, of course, are in the basement. Do you guys think the Redskins hold on to that lead?
I actually do. I think the Washington Redskins they're just an underrated team. They don't have really any weak spots on the team, offense or defense. I think they're coached well under Jay Gruden. I think the Washington Redskins get the job done and make the playoffs.
All right, I can't wait to see this prediction pan out. I can't wait to keep this audio. Me and JC have a rivalry. So I'm picking the Eagles and only the Eagles. The Cowboys lost today in heartbreaking fashion. You can't trust Jason Garrett. Their defense is right there, the Dallas Cowboys. The Washington Redskins, I just don't trust Alex Smith. Their defense is just okay. They don't impress me that much. The Eagles have a lot more talent. The Eagles will be the only team winning this division, and nobody will be getting a wild card. Wait. I forgot a team in this division.
The Giants.
The Giants. The New York Giants are still in this damn division, guys. The New York Giants are still there. They're still crawling. They're like Bane, and they're like 1,000 feet underground. I think the Giants can get to, oh my gosh, I might just say the Giants go to 9-7. Oh, I want to pick the Giants to make the wild card. Should I do it?
No, don't do that.
It'd be the ballsiest pick ever. I don't want the Giants to miss the playoffs again. I'm sorry I'm delaying on this. I really don't want the Eagles to win this division.
It sounds like you want to take the Eagles.
Whatever, Eagles only, but the Giants making the playoffs is a real possibility. I'll just say that, please.
I'm going to say I have finally bought into JC's surprise pick this year. I think the Redskins will hold on in that division. I like what I saw today. The ground attack is for real. Adrian Peterson is running very good this year, and Alex Smith has been smart with the football. I think the Redskins, and they've won 2 division games already. So I like the Redskins there, and the Eagles' schedule does not let up. They still haven't played the toughest part of their schedule. So I like the Redskins. I think the Redskins are going to win the NFC East. I can't believe I'm saying that because I didn't think they had any. I thought they were by far the worst team in this division going into the year, but I have bought into JC's surprise pick this year.
That'd be nuts. We'll see what happens.
We'll see.
All right, let's get on to the NFC North. We've got Minnesota at 4-2-1, the Packers at 3-2-1, the Lions at 3-3, and the Bears at 3-3. So everything's very tight in that division. Who do you guys like?
I'm going to go with the Vikings to win this division. Too talented. They got the best coaching staff in the division. I like the Bears as a surprise team, but right now I just feel like it's just such a tough schedule for Chicago. I do think they get the job done next week against the Jets, but all in all, I think the Vikings are just too good of a team to not win this division.
What about you, Spencer? Who do you like?
I like Minnesota too. I stayed on Minnesota. I think Minnesota is one of the best teams in the NFL. Looking at these teams, let me see if any of these teams can qualify for a wild card. I think that the Detroit Lions are actually going to be second in this division. They went down to Miami. They got a really impressive win. I don't like the Packers at all. Giving Aaron Rodgers all that money, it might be a mistake because their team is just dog shit all around Aaron Rodgers. So I honestly like the Detroit Lions and Matt Patricia. I think Patricia is like Bill Belichick. I can't say he's going to be Bill Belichick, but I think Detroit got the higher correct. I think Chicago's also a pretty decent team, but I like the Vikings, and I'll take the Lions to come in second in this division right here.
I am going to agree with both you guys and the Vikings. It was actually me and Ian's Super Bowl pick at the beginning of the year, and I'm sticking with that because now it looks like they're starting to get things going. But I'm going to completely disagree with you on the Lions. I think the Packers are a much better football team, and I think the Bears are a much better football team. I think the Lions, they're going to finish last in this division, and I am actually going to pick a wild card out of this division. I am going to take the Packers to get a wild card.
Woo!
What about you, Jay? Any wild cards out of there for you, JC, or no?
Looking at it right now, I'm just trying to think. No way.
So that means you're taking a wild card from both the South and West. Who are you gonna take out of the West?
No, I didn't. I was thinking in my head I was gonna name the 4 division winners, then the 2 wild cards.
All right, let's do that. Let's get to the South. South, you
could still take the Bears, Jets. You could still take the Bears.
We'll get back to it at the end.
I know who I'm taking.
NFC South, you got the Saints at 4-1, the Panthers at 4-2, the Buccaneers at 3-3. Actually, the Saints are 5-1 now. This was I took this picture before the game concluded. So the Saints are 5-1, Panthers are 4-2, Bucks 3-3, and the Falcons are 2-4 going into Monday night. Who do you guys like in this division?
I like Carolina. I like Carolina to win this division.
Thank you. That's why you're here, JC, because you come up with those hot takes. I like that you're not picking the Saints. I'm picking the Saints, but I am going to pick a very surprising wild card team. And it's very hard. The NFC, they have so many teams that could be wild cards, where the AFC, I mean, there's some divisions that are complete duds in the AFC. I'm going to actually pick Tampa Bay. I love how Tampa's playing right now. I love Jameis.
What?
No, you're kidding me. You're taking Tampa Bay? Are we talking about the first overall pick or a wild card?
No, I am talking. The Bucks are going to sneak in. They're going to be sneaky and pesky.
I'm going to completely disagree with this pick, too. You said the Lions second. I think they're going to finish last. I think the Bucks are going to finish last as well. I like the Saints to hold on and get the division, but I think the Panthers will get a wild card. And I will say this, one sneaky team, if they could win tomorrow night, I think the Falcons have an outside chance to also contend for a wild card, and it's possible, I'm not picking it, for 3 teams in that division to make the playoffs.
And not the Bucks.
And not the Bucks. The Bucks are going to finish with a top 5 draft pick. I think they're a complete fluke. What about you, JC? You think that's a possibility, 3 teams out of the same division? We saw it last year.
We could see it. It's going to take a huge turnaround for the Falcons right now because they just dug themselves into a deep hole. But I would say right now my 2 wild card teams coming out of the NFC, the New Orleans Saints being the first one, and then the Eagles being the second one.
Okay, that's a good pick, the Eagles as the second one. A lot of people probably have that. And then the NFC West, do we even need to speak about this? I think it's pretty clear the Rams are going to run away with that, right?
Hold on, in the words of Lee Corso, watch out. I think the Seattle Seahawks are a wild card contender.
That might be true. I mean, maybe they can go 9-7, but the division is a lock. I mean, the Rams.
Yes.
Now, do you guys think it's a lock that the Rams are going to get the number 1 overall seed? Do you think that's a lock at this point? Well, the only team that can catch them is the Saints, right?
And the Vikings.
And the Vikings. You're right. Nobody out of the East. Nobody out of the East.
Maybe.
but they beat the Vikings this year. Tiebreak.
Carolina, too. I wouldn't sleep on Carolina. They had a huge win today. Huge win.
Carolina? You're loving Carolina? I like Carolina. I don't think Carolina's that impressive. They're barely squeaking by winning football games. I don't think the Chargers are – I think the Chargers are okay. But the Carolina Panthers – their secondary is just not that good. The construction of that team, trust me, I think Tampa Bay is more talented than the Panthers. I think the Panthers are missing the playoffs. I'm going to say that right now. I'd be shocked if they get in. Cam Newton is so damn good that he makes up for so many deficiencies on that ball club. But I don't like Carolina that much.
I'll say this: if the Saints could somehow get the #1 seed, I think they walk to the Super Bowl because I think they're nearly unbeatable in the Dome. If the Saints could get the #1 seed, I think they walk to the Super Bowl. I think they're a shoo-in if they get the #1 seed. I don't think they necessarily will. I personally think the Rams are going to hold on to that. Can you guys see anybody going into LA in the playoffs and beating them? All right, let's put it this way. Which team has the best chance to go into LA in the NFC and win?
Go ahead.
I would say right now,
Panthers?
Carolina Panthers.
I don't think so at all. Give me the.
Well, who would you say? I would say Carolina.
Me and Tanner are on the Who Dat train. I think he's going to say the Saints as well.
Yeah, I would say I don't necessarily disagree with what JC said though, because I think the Panthers have the type of team that could win in the playoffs because they could pound the ball down your throat and they could stuff the run, and that's what wins in playoff football. So I actually might agree, even though I like the Saints more, I might agree with JC that the Panthers might match up better with the Rams in the playoffs. I might agree with that because I think they stand a better chance of controlling the clock.
And they play better on the road too. Carolina's a really good road team as well.
Don't forget about the Eagles, the Super Bowl.
I forgot about them. I forgot about them when the season started. I said from the start of the year they're going to be a bust, and I'm sticking with that. And they're 3-4. So far I'm looking pretty smart.
Now, yeah, I'm going to propose a little game to you guys. Okay, if you don't mind. Tate, you're doing a tremendous job. I almost don't even want to step on this segment. Pick 3 teams from each conference that could represent in the Super Bowl. You have to pick 3.
You want me to start?
Yes.
Okay, AFC, you always got to put the Patriots in there. The Patriots are one of them. You got to put the Chiefs, especially because the Chiefs look like they're going to be one of the 2 bye teams, and they're very good at home traditionally. So I'm going to go Chiefs, I'm going to go Patriots, I'm going to go Chargers, and I think the Ravens would be my 4th. Those are your clear top 4 in my opinion because of the Ravens' defense, but if I had to pick 3, I'd leave the Ravens out.
Okay, I would say in the AFC, I would go with LA Chargers for sure, New England Patriots, and then Baltimore Ravens.
You would leave the Chiefs out because of the defense? Is that why you leave the Chiefs out?
Because of the defense, because of Andy Reid's history in the playoffs, I'm just at this point I'm numb to Andy Reid's early success. Especially in September and October. I get he's a great coach. He's a top 5 coach easily. He is probably the best offensive-minded head coach, but we see it year after year after year after year. Okay, and I know a lot of people blame it on Alex Smith that Alex Smith is the guy who can't get it done, but. I mean, even with Andy Reid back with, guys like McNabb and Vic and stuff like that, I'm just not sold on Reid in the playoffs.
What about you, Spencer? Who do you like?
In the AFC, I'm definitely going with Chiefs, Ravens, and Patriots. I don't think that the Chargers with Phillip Rivers are really going to have a great – I mean, they'll have a decent chance, but I don't see them winning. I love the Chiefs and Mahomes. I love that offense. I'm still going with the Chiefs to – I'm going with either the Chiefs or actually the Ravens to make the Super Bowl. Those are my 2 picks.
I'll tell you one thing that's very encouraging to me about the Chargers. They started off very poorly, very sloppy, and they almost snuck up on you. To me, they were a team that was I didn't even realize they were 3-2 because they were playing so poorly, and now all of a sudden they're 5-2. So they weren't playing their best football, and they still have a 5-2 record, and that to me is the sign of a good team. So the Chargers scare me a bit. If the Chargers could start to get things to click, they're a very dangerous football team. I think they have a very good chance to go to the Super Bowl this year. I'm not picking them, but I think they're definitely, in my opinion, one of the top 3 teams out of the AFC.
Yeah, also Bosa. Bosa's not even playing, so once he gets back, you're just going to have to account for him on the defensive line.
Yeah, but let's look at the Chargers' wins this year. I mean, the Chargers, they were able to They were able to beat the Oakland Raiders. I mean, out of their 5 wins, guys, they beat the Raiders, who are terrible. They beat the Bills that are not great. The Browns don't have a good record. The Browns was their best game. And then they barely snuck by the 49ers. And then they needed a hold on the 2-point conversion to even win today. So they haven't really beaten anybody tremendously yet. And they're still not dominating teams and playing consistent football, but they are 5-2.
But that's what I kind of like about them, because they're not clicking and they're still finding ways to win football games. When things start to click, they're going to be a dangerous football team. I'm a little scared of the Chargers if I'm in the AFC.
That's a good counterpoint there. Is that that's a great point about not playing your A game and winning. That's a very good point you just made. But
I agree.
Let's segue into the NFC. Let me ask you guys the same question. We'll start with JC. Give me your 3 teams, and let's do 4. I like 4. It's more fun. Give me your 4 teams out of the NFC.
Okay, I'm going to go Minnesota Vikings, Carolina Panthers, LA Rams, New Orleans Saints.
Oh, I wish you left off the Saints.
They're still a great team. I prefer Carolina to the Saints, but when I look at New Orleans, they have the quarterback in place, they have the coach in place. I think if the defense can play well in the playoffs, when they play well in December, I think the Saints they're definitely a tough out, to say the least. So I'm going to go with those 4 teams. I'm leaving Philly off. I want to put Philly on that list just to give them the respect, because I do like the coaching staff. I do like a lot of the pieces in place. But as of right now, I have to call it like I see it, and it's the Vikings, Panthers, Saints, and the Rams.
I think that's before Spencer goes, that's my exact 4 too. I think it's pretty obvious actually in the NFC. To me, those are the clear 4 top teams. Okay, let me ask you guys this, because I think Spencer's probably going to say, Spencer, you agree? I think you're probably going to agree those are the same top 4?
No.
Who you taking off that list?
I was afraid that you were going to skip me completely.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm putting the Eagles in there. I'm putting Rams and Saints. So Eagles, Rams, and Saints. And then I'm going to go with the Bucs as my 4th team. I'm leaving Carolina.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers will have the top 5 pick, Spencer.
Spencer,
why? They just beat the Browns today. Their defense is rocking, man.
Spencer,
you just criticized the Chargers for beating the Browns.
Spencer,
Carlton Davis is playing some serious football, man. I mean, they just got an emotional win. Jameis Winston's a baller. And this Carolina team's a fraud, man. They are frauds. Mark my words on Carolina.
You're saying Carolina's frauds, but you believe in the Bucs? You keep talking like this, you're going to lose subscribers. The Bucs are a joke. They have no business being 3-3.
They're 500 right now. They fired their defensive coordinator. They're playing really well. Like, I love what the Bucs are doing. So, Bucs are not on my payroll, but I do like the Eagles as well. Carolina's a decent team. Maybe they make the playoffs. I don't know, but they're just not complete. So we'll see what happens with Carolina.
Okay, let me ask you guys this: who is kind of off the radar in the NFC that you could see getting hot and making a run? We've seen it in years past. We saw the Packers win like 7 or 8 in a row one year. I remember they made the playoffs. To me, it's the Falcons. I think if the Falcons could win tomorrow night, they're a dangerous team because they have played a very hard schedule early on. They've had a couple injuries early on. They're starting to get pieces back. Of course, as Giant fans, we don't want them to win tomorrow. But they're a team I'd look out for if they could start to get things going in the right direction. What about you, JC?
I would have to agree that the Atlanta Falcons do have a very good shot because they could put up points with anybody. And if that defense plays well, especially the defensive line, the front 7, they could get after quarterbacks, okay? But a team that I don't want to hop off the bandwagon just yet is the Chicago Bears. I mean, they're a team that I feel like if they could rattle off 3-4 wins just like that, all of a sudden the Bears have to be talked about as a playoff contender.
That's a good pick. Because of the defense, that's a good pick. I still don't believe in Trubisky, but that's a good pick. Spencer, what about you? Well, we already know. You're going to say the Bucs.
Let's go with the New York Giants.
Go ahead. Tell me your reason why. Go.
The Giants have an easy schedule. They could get to 9 wins. They're a team that I'm worried about the chemistry in the locker room. But if they win tomorrow night, they have a good chance to get back to 500 to compete for the playoff spot. The Giants still have an outside chance. I think that the Detroit Lions – I'll actually say Seattle. Russell Wilson is a Hall of Famer, and I wouldn't count out the Seattle Seahawks possibly sneaking in. But they don't have a lot of talent up there.
I'll say this about the Giants. We're both Giant fans. I always try to be positive about the Giants. And I will agree with you that their next 4 games are winnable. I think tomorrow they can win. I think they match up well with the Falcons. But the Giants haven't won 2 games in a row since 2016. I don't see them winning 4 in a row. I'm just being honest here. I don't see it. If they ever did win 4 in a row, then that Eagles game is interesting because they have momentum. They've won 4 in a row, but I don't see it. I don't see how they're going to win 4 in a row.
Right. I gotcha. Justin Herbert is not declaring. That's what Big Blue for Life is commenting down there. That's very interesting NFL news. And Andrew Long, the Bucs have all the contenders to be. The Bucs have all the tools. So Andrew Long is with me on this one.
Now, okay, somebody brought up Herbert. What would be your strategy if you're the Giants next year now that Herbert hasn't declared? Say you have a top 5 pick. What position are you going after? You're still going after quarterback? Are you taking a pass rusher? Are you taking an old lineman? What would be your what position would you be targeting next year in the draft if you were the Giants? If you have a top 5 pick.
Central, you want to go or should I go?
It's a Giant show. It's your show. You could go.
My show. I am going to go. Actually, I'd consider trading the pick for a first rounder next year, just so you have, because next year's quarterback class is going to be so unbelievable. You have Tua, you have Justin Herbert, so you get ammunition for next year. But if I were the Giants and I had to pick a player, I would pick Josh Allen out of Kentucky or Devin White and get that defensive pass rusher with a linebacker that has a personality that is absolutely infectious for the locker room.
Well, let me say this. How would you be able to trade? Like, who would come up for?
That's what I was going to say. That's exactly what I was going to say.
Because
if there's no quarterback to move up for, you're not going to get a ton for that.
How about Drew Lock? There's going to be – every year we're going to psych ourselves into these guys. I mean, Ryan Finley, the media coverage – I mean, quarterbacks are the way that the NFL is going. The Jags would certainly go for Drew Lock. He's going to throw for 80 yards at the Missouri Pro Day. You know what's going to happen, guys. I mean, Blake Bortles was selected 3 overall. Blaine Gabbert, number 7. I think it can happen. So, but that's a good point you make. But I still think you could get value there. I really do.
I mean, look at what the Dolphins gave up. I believe with the Philadelphia Eagles, like way back in, I believe 2013, they barely gave up anything to jump all the way up to the 3rd spot to select Deion Jordan. I think this is going to be a really, really similar draft class to the 2013 one. I think we might see one quarterback go, and I would probably say like from pick 8 to 20 in that range, and that quarterback being Drew Lock. So,
well, JC, let me ask you this question. What did the Saints give up to draft a defensive end from UTSA?
They gave up a first-round pick.
Hey! Yes! There's going to be Ed Oliver, Joey Bosa. I mean, there's going to be great players in the top 5.
Yeah, but the way I look at it, before you go, JC, I just thought about this. I don't want to forget it. The way I look at it is this. I don't see Gettleman trading out of the pick because this year was the perfect time to do it, and he didn't do it. He could have got so much more value this year with the number 2 pick, and he didn't do it, and he still took Barkley. Next year, he's not going to get near what he would have gotten last year. I don't see it. I don't see him trading down. He could have got a king's ransom this year, and he didn't do it. So why would he trade down in the next draft when he's not going to get nearly as much?
Yeah, it's funny. That was the exact point I was going to make, that Chris, you just said. I think if I was the New York Giants and I finish – let's just be reasonable. I don't want to say the first pick, so let's just say pick number 4, pick number 6, somewhere around there. I would take Jonah Williams, the left tackle from Alabama. I think he's a stud.
I like that pick. I like that pick.
Plug him at right tackle right now.
Yeah, but then you have Solder and him, so I do like where you're going there. You need a lineman.
I like that pick. If I'm the Giants, I wouldn't even necessarily be as scared to take 2 O-linemen with my first 2 picks next year. Because can you imagine that running attack if you could shore up that offensive line? Could you imagine how good Barkley could possibly be? And then you bring the quarterback in the next year to that situation where you're one of the best running football teams in the league, and then you have a foundation for the rookie quarterback, whether it be Tua or whoever else they bring in. That's why next year I might very well consider taking 2 O-linemen in the first 2 rounds. Of course, they also need a pass rusher, though. We all know that.
Yes, sir.
Agreed.
Hey, JC, can Davis Webb get traded to the Niners or the Jaguars?
I would like to see. Oh, I love Davis Webb. You know, I love Davis, and I want him to be a Jet because I think he's just a great guy to root for. But at the same time, I need to put my feelings aside, and I have to look at it through Davis's point of view. I want to see Davis get a shot. I want to see him have an opportunity to shine. You know, like he did with Cal. Goes to Cal, dominates. I would like to see him with San Fran, just because I think with Shanahan's tutelage, coaching quarterbacks, I think that would just be a thing of beauty. And plus it'd be like a nice little homecoming as well because he played at Berkeley up in North Cali. But Jackson will be interesting because he's ready to win now. I don't see him getting traded, but I would love to see him go to San Fran.
Let's do while we still have a little bit of time, entertainer. I'd love to do coach hot seat rankings before we head out of here, and we'll answer some questions. I thought the Chicago Patriots game was a really interesting game today. But JC, or actually entertainer, I want to start off with your thoughts here. Do you think Jason Garrett makes it to the end of the year this year?
Great question. That's another coach that I don't know how he still has his job. I think he's an atrocious head coach. I think the Cowboys right now should be no worse than 5-2. The way that his play calling has been awful. Ezekiel Elliott should be getting 25 carries every single game, and he's had 2 or 3 games this year where he's out under 15. And it's not like he hasn't run the ball effectively; they just haven't given him enough carries. So I personally think Jason Garrett definitely, if they don't make the playoffs this year, should be fired at the end of the year. He may make it through the end of the year because they seem to love him there in Dallas for some reason. But I think he has done an awful job because I think the Cowboys are probably the best team in that division. I really think that because they have a very good defense and they have a good running attack, but they've been coached horribly.
Yeah, I would say the number one coach on the hot seat right now. I mean, I really want to say it's Hugh Jackson, but I'm not going to say that. I'm going to say it's Steve Wilkes. I think he's done an absolute horrible job. Okay, it's just been nightmaric, okay, what the Cardinals have displayed this season. I mean, Bruce Arians had Blaine Gabbert last year. He had no David Johnson, and he still managed to get to 8-8. Okay, so Steve Wilkes just looks in over his head. He looks inexperienced, as he should be. You know, obviously it's his first head coaching gig. But Steve Wilkes, I would just part ways with him at the end of the season. I don't have any faith in him. David Johnson, the X factor of this offense, he doesn't even get the touches he deserves. You upgrade a quarterback and you get tremendously worse. I mean, it's just bad. It's just bad football all around. Patrick Peterson, you don't even know if he wants to be there. It's just bad. I get rid of Wilkes. I'm starting over.
No, that makes sense. And Steve Wilkes hasn't done anything in this league, unlike John Gruden, who's a Super Bowl championship coach that is going to be there for a long time. Steve Wilkes is a defensive coordinator. He totally looks in over his head. He has no plan at all. Josh Rosen is getting thrown to the wolves. He has a terrible situation. Now Josh Rosen can get quicker going back in the pocket. I'm going to say Vance Joseph of the Denver Broncos. This is a guy that had a terrible year last year, really no fan support at all. He got Case Keenum. The defense gave up so many rushing yards to the Rams and to the Jets. I think that Vance is gone after this year. I'm going to say a couple of other guys. I think that the coach, Bill O'Brien in Houston, has to get that team to the playoffs. I say he does. Let's think of another coach that I think Garrett gets fired at the end of the year.
Well, I think Bowles is on the hot seat too for the Jets. I think he's probably on the hot seat. I'm not saying he's going to get fired, yes, but I think he's definitely in contention to be replaced.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
You think that Bowles is on the hot seat? I don't know if Sean McDermott's on the hot seat. I would say he's not because their team is just terrible. I would say the Bills coach is not on the hot seat. Good
night, Ben. I see Benny said good night. Good night, Benny. Have a good night. Hey, hopefully see you tomorrow in the stream. Go ahead.
Later, man.
What about Doug Marrone?
I don't think they'll fire him.
No, I don't think he should be fired either. And I know you're probably thinking Pat Shermer, but it's way too soon for him.
No. Stale Pat.
But, no, I think Garrett needs to be fired if I'm a Cowboy fan if they don't make the playoffs this year. I think he's done a horrible job. I personally think he should be the first guy fired. That's my opinion. I think he's done the worst job out of anybody.
Jay Gruden is on the hot seat. Adam Gase, maybe?
What?
Adam Gase?
Hold on. Jay Gruden? Why is Jay Gruden? Nobody expected Washington to be this good.
How is Jay Gruden on the hot seat? They're 4-2.
Because let's look at Jay Gruden's record. He's never won a playoff game there in 5 years.
They're 4-2.
But
They're
that
in
might
first
change
place.
this year.
They're in first place in a division that most people thought they'd finish in last.
They haven't beaten anybody. All right, let's look at his record. Let's look at Jay Gruden's
They
record.
beat Carolina. That's a huge win.
Yeah, he's been there for like 5 years. Yeah, he's been there 5 years.
So
We'll have to see. We'll have to see about Jay. But if he doesn't make the playoffs,
I gotta say I'm disagreeing with a lot of your points tonight, Spencer. Jay Gruden to me is one of the candidates almost through the halfway point for Coach of the Year, in my opinion.
I agree.
You're saying he's on the hot seat. I think he's one of the top 5 coaches of the year so far this year.
I think he could be at the end of the year. You come back to me on Black Monday. You'll come back when the coaches get fired. I think Todd Bowles is really going to be gone after this year. I really think so. Pete Carroll is going to stay. So let's pick coaches that you project to get fired. Okay, let's pick about 3 to 4 guys.
each.
Yes.
Okay. You mind if I kick things off?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay. I'm gonna go Steve Wilkes, Hugh Jackson, and this last one. I want to say Todd Bowles to just make it interesting, but I'm gonna go with Pete Carroll.
I'm gonna go Wilkes, Bowles, Garrett. Those are my 3.
Oh, I'm going Vance for sure. Vance is definitely on the list. Vance Joseph, Garrett, and then last one, right? I'm not going to say Wilkes. It's his first year. I'm not going to say Wilkes. Even their owner in Arizona is way too nice of a guy to get fired after 1 year. So, man, let's go Todd Bowles as well. Let's do it. Let's get DiFilippo in there. JC, you want DiFilippo or Matt LaFleur? Who do you want?
I would prefer. I like LaFleur better personally, but I think for the Jets, I think DiFilippo is a better fit just because I think he could handle the New York media. I don't think LaFleur does that well as far as like the media goes and stuff like that. He just looks a little nervous and stuff, and that's completely fine. It's completely understandable. Not everybody's built to sit there and answer questions and to be like an entertainer, no pun intended, Chris. But I don't think LaFleur is really built for that New York to have that lamp shined on him. But then again, I thought the same thing with Mangini. So I don't know. Anything could happen.
King Bras brought up a good point, and I agree with it. Spencer seems to be very high on Gruden, even though the Raiders have been horrible. I'm not saying Gruden. I'm not saying Gruden's going to get fired after this year because he won't. But if the Raiders don't perform better next year, I think he's gone. If they have another 3-win, 4-win season, I think he's gone. I don't think Gruden has 2 years with the Raiders with 3 or 4 wins. I think you're gone.
John Gruden is in the best. I would love to be a Raiders fan right now. You're in such a good spot with John Gruden, as crazy as that might sound, but you have 4 first-round picks in the next 2 years. You might be moving on from Derek Carr. That's just going to clear so much cap room. You're going to just start over. You're going to start on a clean slate. You're going to be moving to Vegas. You're going to have a new sweet stadium. You got so many things going in the Raiders' direction. It might seem gloomy today, but just looking forward, you could see the light at the end of the tunnel. You're going to have studs waiting for you in the draft. Okay, if you could get best player available twice this draft, and then you have 2 first-round picks next year with potentially a top 5 pick, you can get a guy like Jacob Eason, like Tua Tagovailoa.
So let me ask you this, though. If the Raiders win 3 games this year, and then they go out, they win another 3 games the following year, you think Gruden is safe?
I don't think he's safe. I personally would keep him around because I believe in John, and I think that his staff over there. I would make a switch at the offensive coordinator position because I do not like Olsen at all, but I do like Paul Gunther, the defensive coordinator. I think John Gruden just needs to get his guys in the building, similar to like a college program.
Okay, very good. Andrew Long wants our thoughts on the Broncos. The Broncos were actually my surprise team this year. I thought they were going to contend for the playoffs, go 9-7, 10-6. They've disappointed me a little. They're 3-4. But I will say one thing. The pass rush is starting to click. You've seen Von Miller play a lot better. And Chubb's starting to get into the act. What do you guys think of the Broncos going forward?
I don't think the Broncos are headed down the right path at all. Like, I would want Chad Kelly to get a shot. I love Swag Kelly. I look at the Broncos. They just beat the Cardinals, but that isn't that big of an accomplishment. I mean, Vance Joseph can't put together 2 games, and they have way too much talent there to be losing these types of games. I look at John Elway. He's drafted very well. That's the thing about Elway. He didn't hit on the quarterbacks, but Cortland Sutton's a really good player. Bradley Chubb's been great. Josie Jewell out of Iowa was a kid I was clamoring for in the draft. So I think John's doing a fine job there. They're just going to need to settle on a big-time head coach like DeFilippo or Shane Waldron. And I think the Broncos, though, are not going to make the playoffs this year. I'd be very surprised if they did.
JC?
I like Denver. Not obsessed with them. I think they have pieces in place. Obviously, I don't think Vance Joseph is the right guy in place. I think they need more. It's just weird because Denver, they can compete with the best of them. I do believe that. I like Case Keenum a lot. I'm higher on him than most. But I think with Denver right now, they need to have that young quarterback waiting in the wings. And I know it sounds cliche, but I mean, you look at a guy like Drew Lock or maybe even Clayton Thorson. He's a guy who I think would be really good for Denver, a nice fit. He wouldn't have to play right away because Keenum's obviously on the 3-year deal. But I like Denver moving forward. I don't love them moving forward. I don't think they'll make the playoffs, though.
I like Denver a lot, actually. I think, even though it was against the Cardinals, I think they've looked a lot better these last 2 weeks. I think the pass rush is getting home. But I'm going to say this. I agree with you guys that they're not going to make the playoffs. But it's not because I don't think they're a good team and they're not going to start to – I think they're going to start to play good football the second half of the season. But they're in such a tough division. And I don't see 3 teams coming out of that division with the Chargers and the Chiefs. So that's the only reason why I don't see them getting into the playoffs. But I think they are probably a top 6 team in the AFC. I think they just have a bad circumstance.
I just want to go back to the Raiders point, guys, and talk about the last 6 Raiders coaches. You had Bill Callahan for 1 year. I know that I think he made the Super Bowl there. But then North Turner went 9-23. Art Shell 2-14, Lane Kiffin 5-15, Tom Cable 17-27. You had Dennis Allen, Sperano, and Del Rio. All 6 of those guys. It's just been a revolving carousel in Oakland. It's where coaching careers go to fail. So you have to stick with John Gruden. John Gruden is a guy who studies meticulously. He's not afraid to go outside the box and make risky decisions to help the franchise long term. He's looking to trade a wide receiver, Amari Cooper, and get value. I think Derek Carr might be among one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. We talk about Blake Bortles. I think Derek Carr has a very weak arm. And I really want Oakland to start over as well. I want Chucky to be ballsy, and I like that Mark Davis is giving John Gruden all the confidence in the world because you need continuity to be successful in life. So
yeah. Me and Spence are on the Oakland Raider train.
I can tell. I am not. I am not nearly as big of a Gruden fan as you guys are.
We're gonna support John Gruden. We're gonna support the black and silver until Gruden leaves. I like this Oakland Raiders team. I love the direction. I would love to be a fan of the Raiders right now.
To the abyss, baby. To the abyss, JC. When they rise,
we're going down playing for Oakland.
I can't
stand out to Vegas, man.
I think Gruden's overrated. I can't stand when he evaluates quarterbacks because if you listen to him, every quarterback in the league is the best quarterback who ever played the sport. You know, when he was an analyst, he never said a bad thing about a quarterback. The guy just praises everybody.
That's because he's charming and creative.
Yeah, he's also on the main network, you know.
Yeah.
No, we love Chucky. We love Chucky here on the show. I'm on the Bucks, but I am the only one on the Bucks bandwagon.
You're the only one, not just here in the world, on the Bucks bandwagon. You are the only one that thinks that they could possibly make the playoffs. But if they do, I'm gonna give you a ton of credit.
Let's do it, guys. We got a couple more minutes, Tanner. Let's go 3 more minutes here of rapid fire. You want to do that? And again,
before we go, I just want to remind anybody who might have came into the chat, we're going to be doing this tomorrow on my channel. I'm going to put my link in the in the comments after, so please check us out on my channel tomorrow night as we're going to do a pregame show to the Giants-Falcons, and then we're going to stream the game as me and Spencer. And JC can come in too if he wants. I don't know what his schedule's like as we watch the game together. We're going to do a stream on that.
I'm tired of JC.
All right, well, I'm tired of you guys, so I'll head out.
No, I'm joking. You call my bluff, JC. JC, no. Oh, JC. All right, speaking of JC, did you see Chris Paul and Rondo and who won the fight last night, JC?
I would say Rondo won the fight, but I didn't like Brandon Ingram kind of coming in dirty. I didn't like that.
Taking out the ref, huh, Brandon?
Yeah.
Tatum,
I don't like Ingram. I don't like Ingram.
In LA. What did you think of that whole thing last night?
I don't really. I never like. I don't get into that kind of stuff. I don't know. What did you think of it?
I liked Rondo coming out of Chris Paul. Chris Paul is so pesky.
I'm not a big Rondo fan. I never have been. I think he's a great basketball player, but he always seems to be that type of guy that aggravates people. If he was a Knick, I'd love him, but he's not a type of player that I like.
Chris Paul's kind of that guy for me a little bit.
Yeah.
But Tanner, you're hanging on tight. I mean, Kevin Knox has been playing well these last couple of games. I have to say.
Kevin Knox is going to miss a month now. He got hurt.
Oh, my gosh. Last night?
He got the sprained ankle. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be a month, but he's going to miss at least probably 2 weeks or so. But, yeah, there's a football show. Let's get back to the football as we close it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I went to Knoxville this past weekend. I saw some college football. I went with my dad to Tennessee. Big shout out to the Tennessee Vols. That was a lot of fun. I saw Tua in person. And also a big shout out to the Purdue Boilermakers on an incredible win over Ohio State. Urban Meyer gets a big fat L yesterday.
Huge win for the Boilermakers. Huge win.
Real quick, what's your guys' take on this? MVP so far this season. Who is it? Give me your top 5 candidates for MVP right now.
All right.
I'll start with JC.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Jared Goff, Todd Gurley. You have to put Patrick Mahomes in there. I don't know if it'll.
You hate Patrick Mahomes.
Come on, JC. Come over to the bandwagon.
Sam Darnold. No, I'm just kidding.
Eli.
Drew Brees, and then for the 5th one, I'm not really too sure because I feel like 5 guys for MVP is a lot. I'll stick with those 4.
Okay, Spencer.
You look at the running backs in the NFL. So Todd Gurley is up there for me. I'm gonna put Gurley on that list. Could I pick a defensive player, the defensive player of the year? Who's that even gonna be? Is it J.J. Watt now?
Maybe Khalil Mack.
Yeah, maybe Khalil Mack. But in terms of the MVP race, I think Mahomes is going to get it. I'm putting Mahomes on that list. I have to put Jared Goff. He has totally proven me wrong, JG. I really like Todd Gurley. So you look at the best teams in the league, and those are some of the best teams that are out there. Kirk Cousins, I don't know if he has an outside chance. You have to pick teams that are really going to be special. Drew Brees, I don't know if he's ever won an MVP. So
I think he did. I think he did win one.
Yeah, Drew Brees and the Saints, especially with the 40 touchdown, especially with breaking that NFL mark in the way that he did it. Brees is going to have a chance. And then, guys, there another name that we are forgetting.
Well, how about as an outsider, Aaron Rodgers? You guys didn't mention Aaron Rodgers. He's the type of guy that could get hot. I wouldn't count him out.
Yeah, you have to pick a guy that carries his team into the playoffs. Like Dalton has had a really good year, but I don't see him keeping it up. Matt Stafford, maybe. I'm trying to think.
Maybe a Newton.
Yes, he has done well this year. Cam Newton was amazing.
And Brady. I mean, you can never count out Brady either. I mean, there's a lot of guys you could put in there.
I can count them out.
But I think right now the clear top 2 is Mahomes and Gurley, in my opinion, and Goff is up there too. But they're gonna take away from each other. That's the problem. That's why I think Mahomes is the clear favorite right now. Of course, somebody could cut into that, but right now I think Mahomes is the clear favorite.
And Eli is right on the precipice.
Can't count out Nathan Peterman, King Bra says.
Nate, we need Josh Allen back, but oh my God, Nate, Andrew Luck there. Who's the most improved player? Let's do that one.
Ooh, that's a good one. Last year was Goff, right? It had to be. Most improved player. That's a tough one. I got to think for a second. Hold on.
Famous Jameis.
Most improved player. Hold on. I'll get you on it.
I would say, who's stepping up, having a really nice year? Tyler Boyd for Cincinnati, the wide receiver.
That's a good pick.
Who's gotten hurt? Who got hurt last year and who's coming back and playing really well?
Eric Reed had a really nice game today.
Who?
Eric Reed.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's going to have to play tremendously, like get all these interceptions to get notoriety. Maybe Khalil Mack, actually. I don't know if they put defensive players in that mold. Andy Dalton would maybe be a player that you can put in that mold if he makes the playoffs. Matt Stafford.
Here's one. If this team continues the success, maybe Ryan Tannehill.
Well, he's missed now, what, 2 or 3 games, though, right?
Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck's comeback player of the year.
Oh, yeah. That's a big – that's a great suggestion.
Yeah,
yes.
He's comeback player of the year, no doubt about that.
Or Deshaun Watson. Anyone from that division.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like that one. One that's the craziest stat to me, and I only know because the Giants are playing him this week. How does Julio Jones not have a touchdown? The guy's got over 700 yards in 6 games, and he doesn't have a touchdown. Let's knock on wood and hope that streak carries up. But if he had a few touchdowns, he'd be up for MVP the way he's played.
Allergic to the end zone.
Yeah. But, any closing words?
Rookie of the Year, Saquon Barkley.
Oh, that's a lock. The way he's played. He's on pace to have 1,000 and 1,000.
Baker is playing football, though.
Baker's playing football, but he's having one of the great. He might end up having the greatest rookie season of all time at the running back position. That's how good he's playing.
Absolutely. Brock Osweiler, it was mentioned for comeback player of the year.
Yeah, I think Barkley, if the Giants were playing well, Barkley would be up for MVP the way he's playing. That's how good he's playing, especially when you factor in how bad that offensive line is. And
a huge shout out to Denzel Ward. That's a brilliant pick for the Rookie of the Year. It just shows you have to stick to your guts in life. You have to stick to your guts in life because nobody picked Denzel Ward in the top 4, and he's going to be the Defensive Player of the Year this year. So again,
would you if you could go back in time though, if you're the Browns, would you have taken Ward still, or if you were the GM, or would you taken Chubb? I still say they should have taken Chubb.
That's a great question.
I mean, Ward has done so much for that team. Hindsight 2020, if I could go back today, knowing what I do know, I would take Ward. But at the time, I would have taken Bradley Chubb.
I still would take Chubb. I think pass rushers like that you don't pass up on. And I think it takes a little time for pass rushers to get adjusted to the NFL. So I think I still would have taken Chubb. But Ward has been terrific.
Hey, guys, thanks so much. I think we're going to wrap this up. I want to thank all the subscribers, Benny Breeze for coming on today to the show, King Braz, Andrew Long, Big Blue for Life, a lot of guys, Marcos Levy in the beginning, and Daniel. Everybody for coming on to the chat. And JC, thanks so much for joining. Entertainer, what a job hosting the show. And thank you guys for coming on my channel. Again, Giants, Falcons tomorrow night in prime time. What a week of NFL ball, guys, and thank you so much for coming on with me.
All right, thanks, guys.
Can't wait for tomorrow night. It was great talking to you guys. Oh, that's right. I got to stop it.